That day, my ex-husband showed up at my parents' house for the first time in 10 years. My wife and I are moving in here. Leave without causing us any trouble. What? Ignoring me, who was at a loss for words, my ex-husband continued. My wife, Amanda, got pregnant. Yes, my ex-husband had cheated on me with a young female colleague and left me 10 years ago. All we want is to provide a good educational environment for our child to be born. We can make much better use of this house than you who are single all your life. I sighed and shook my head as my ex-husband appeared for the first time in 10 years and spoke to me in an outrageous and a brazen manner. What are you talking about? You just can't. What? Are you listening to me? Don't you know? Who lives in this house now? As soon as my ex-husband saw a figure appear from behind me, he turned pale and started shaking. Who the hell is this? At this moment, my ex-husband, who had brazenly come back, realized his actions had backfired. My name is Jennifer. I'm a 45-year-old, a restaurant employee. The company seems to appreciate me fairly well, and among my peers, I'm progressing fairly smoothly in my career. Although I'm living a peaceful life now, it took me several years and many twists and turns to get here, experiencing numerous events along the way. Among them, the most significant event was probably my divorce from my then-husband, Michael. The cause was Michael's infidelity. He shockingly eloped with Amanda, my younger colleague. Amanda appeared as a charming colleague when behaving normally, but she had a tendency to covet what belonged to others around her. Moreover, her behavior was beyond normal envy. If she deemed something she didn't possess as valuable, she would want it. Whether it was an object or even a person, showing a complete lack of common sense. On the other hand, Michael had a friendly personality and demeanor and was easy to get along with. And I was attracted to these qualities in him at that time. Michael took a liking to me as well, which led to us dating. After a while, I introduced him to my family. By that time, we were already in a relationship with the intention of marrying. So this was a decision we made after discussing and settling on what needed to be finalized between us. My parents and sister took a liking to Michael, and he was also amiable towards them, which allowed the engagement meeting to go smoothly. However, it was after this that Amanda, my younger colleague, started targeting him. Passing by us talking in the break room, Amanda seemed quite surprised when she saw him. Apparently, I later found out that Amanda and Michael had known each other from high school and college. After that, Amanda started to intrude between me and Michael, often joining us not just at work but also in our private outings, making it a trio. While I sensed something off, Michael and Amanda's interactions continued even after our marriage. And the more they kept in touch, the more I started to feel uneasy. They would get excited over topics only they knew, and start sneaking off together. Michael, did you go out with Amanda yesterday? I wanted to be included too. Oh, my bad. I'll make sure to invite you next time. Michael's response, seemingly absent-minded, gave me an uneasy feeling. Later, when invited to dinner by another colleague, I was informed of a shocking truth during the meal. Shockingly, this colleague said that she saw Michael entering a hotel in the city arm in arm with a woman who wasn't me. Moreover, when my colleague showed me a photo taken on impulse, it turned out that the woman in the photo was indeed Amanda. I didn't want to believe it, but being shown the photo left me with no choice but to accept the truth. I had my colleague transfer any other photos taken and decided to confront Michael that day. Michael. What is this about? You and Amanda are in these photos, aren't you? Oh no. Well, this is, you know. With his indecisive attitude, Michael kept mumbling without giving a clear response. I turned a blind eye at first, thinking it was just an interaction between colleagues at work, but I never imagined it would escalate to betrayal. No, that's because you two were making a fool of me, weren't you? Did you have a good time on dating with Amanda, forgetting about your wife? As I pressed him further, Michael hung his head in silence, and eventually stopped responding altogether. It was the next day when Michael disappeared as if fleeing from the situation. The next morning, when I woke up to find Michael nowhere, I called Amanda with a sense of suspicion, but couldn't reach her either. It was 3 days later that I discovered Michael and Amanda were together. Because papers signed by Michael to file for divorce were sent home, and Amanda also emailed me. There was only this one line written in her email. Jennifer, I'm sorry, me and Michael will find happiness together. Of course, I couldn't accept it with just this brief email. But I couldn't even lodge a protest because I had no idea where they had gone, and I couldn't reach them. Furthermore, Michael had sent his resignation notice to the company by mail, eliminating any connections there as well. Feeling utterly helpless, I ultimately decided to agree to the divorce. For a while after that, I was plunged into despair and couldn't find my way back. I simply couldn't accept the reality that Michael had eloped with Amanda. But I couldn't stay down forever. I decided to channel my frustration and anger into immersing myself in my work. Focusing on work allowed me to forget about Michael and Amanda. This dedication paid off, and the company recognized my contributions by promoting me and giving me a new position. With the help of good people around me, I was able to lead a stable life within 2 to 3 years after Amanda and Michael eloped. And now, one day, 10 years after Amanda and Michael eloped and disappeared from my life. Since it was my day off, I slept in and finally woke up close to noon. Just as I was getting up from bed to start making some food, the cell phone by my pillow suddenly rang. It was an incoming call. The screen showed no caller ID. I usually wouldn't respond, but being half asleep, I ended up answering it. Hello? No sooner had I tentatively spoken up than an unexpected voice came through from the other end of the line. Hey, Jennifer. Long time no see. It's me, Michael. What's up? So lucky this number is still yours. What? Michael. To my astonishment, it was from Michael, my ex-husband. I was so surprised that I nearly fell out of bed. Michael. Why on earth would you contact me now after 10 years? What are you thinking? What do you mean, why? Even after 10 or 20 years, isn't it normal for us to keep in touch since we were once married? Michael said it while laughing, as if something was funny. His attitude of laughing it off as if nothing had happened reminded me of the anger that should have been forgotten. What do you mean once married? Stop fooling around, all right? How dare you contact me so brazenly? Let me ask again. Why are you contacting me now? Come on, Jennifer, calm down. It hasn't changed a bit that you were easily irritated. Michael's carefree tone made me feel like a fool, which irritated me even more. Although I didn't utter a word, perhaps sensing my mood over the phone, Michael finally got to the point. Oh, anyway, you're living at your parents' house now, right? Can you pack your things and leave as soon as possible? What? Sorry for the sudden news to you, but me and Amanda have decided to move into that house. It is absolutely nonsense. What kind of thought process led him to such a conclusion? Actually, Amanda and I got married and she recently got pregnant. We want to provide a good educational environment for our child to be born. So, are you telling me to leave? Of course, you won't refuse, right? I'm actually being kind by telling you this. If you stay in your parents' house forever, you won't be able to remarry. My head began to ache with anger and disbelief. I never expected that after 10 years of no contact, he would reach out only to make such an absurd demand. Indeed, as Michael said, I had returned to my parents' house. I don't know how he found out about it, but it is certainly true. Of course, I'm going to say no to that. What? Why should I have to hand over my family home for you too? Are you stupid? You must be, right? When I retorted sharply, Michael, seemingly upset, snapped back in a harsh tone. Oh, my bad. Besides, there's no way you, being infertile at 45, could even remarry. During my marriage to Michael, I never got pregnant. He's probably referring to that when he mentions infertility, but it's such an unpleasant way to put it. This is just ridiculous. Is that all you wanted to say? I'm not handing over this house, and even if you come here, I won't let you in. I hung up unilaterally. I didn't want to talk with Michael anymore. Still, this was just too selfish. Cheating and eloping, and now he wants this house? I hoped this would be the end of it, but what was to come, I wondered. Just as I was thinking like that, a few days later, another incident occurred. It was a busy morning at work, and I couldn't take my lunch break until after 1 p.m. After finishing my lunch at my favorite coffee shop near my workplace, I entered the building's entrance and spotted a familiar man. What? You've got to be kidding me. Why are you here? To my surprise, it was Michael. He had gained considerable weight compared to 10 years ago, but it was unmistakably Michael. I tried to hide immediately, but it was too late, he had already spotted me. As soon as Michael spotted me, he hurriedly ran over. Well, there you are. I've been waiting forever. About our conversation the other day, when are you planning to leave? I'd prefer if you could make it by next month. I have no idea what you're talking about. I already said no, didn't I? And showing up at my workplace like this is unbelievable. Go away. You're bothering me. Hey, you still saying that? It only makes sense that instead of you who are single all your life, living in that house, it would be better for us. A married couple with a child on the way, to live there with your parents. You think so, too, right? Enough is enough. No matter how much you ask, my answer is no. You were the one who cheated and eloped on your own accord. Don't drag me into cleaning up your mess. As I spoke firmly, Michael finally frowned and raised his voice. What did you say? First of all, I cheated because you were infertile. If you could have had children, I wouldn't have cheated. It's all your fault. So the least you can do is provide me a place to live. Are you serious? This is too absurd for words. I have to go back to work. If you keep lingering here, I'll call security. Michael seemed to want to talk more. But after my final warning about calling security and noticing the stares from around us, he left the entrance and walked out, muttering a parting shot. I thought this would finally make Michael give up, but I was painfully reminded that it wasn't so simple. A week after he showed up at my workplace. That day, after finishing work, I was leisurely enjoying a game app on my cell phone at home. Then, suddenly, the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, but I decided to check the doorbell monitor anyway. I was at a loss for words and my mind went blank at the sight of the person there. Hey, Jennifer. Are your things packed yet? Since you didn't contact me, I came here for you. It was Michael and Amanda standing there. Enough is enough. I hurried to the entrance and flung the door open. Hi Jennifer, long time no see. As you might have heard from Michael, I'm expecting a child. Once our baby is born, we'll let you dote on our baby. You know. Michael was glaring at me, while Amanda wore an unsettling smile. In response to them, I let out a deliberately exaggerated sigh that anyone could notice. Are you tired or something? I don't care though. Anyway, I have very important things to tell you. We are happy about our baby but out of money. So please let us live in this house, okay? Amanda said, looking up at me with pleading eyes. Then Michael chimed in. And I just remembered this house isn't yours, but your parents', right? Are your parents home now? And if they are? Let us talk to them directly. Our baby is going to be their first grandchild, so they're bound to welcome us with open arms, for sure. I couldn't help but laugh at Michael's delusional words. He truly didn't know anything. Hey, what's so funny? That's really rude. Hurry up and get our father-in-law and mother-in-law out here. Huh? Didn't you guys really know who lives in this house now? If you're looking for the people you call mom and dad, they're no longer here. What? Yes, my parents no longer live in this house. Sometime after I returned to my parents' house following my divorce from Michael. My parents gave me this house as a living gift and retired to the countryside on my mother's side. So, I am the owner of this house. When I confronted them with that fact, both Michael and Amanda's eyes widened in shock. Understand? This house is mine, which means I have all the decision-making power. No more counting your chickens before they hatch. I made my stance clear, but Michael persisted even further. Then, you can stay in this house, just let us live here with you. Come on. Let's get along like we used to. A trio, the three of us. That would be perfect, right? Oh, sounds like a great idea. Jennifer, it must be lonely living in such a big house all by yourself, right? If we live together, everyone can be happy, wouldn't that be great? Still unable to break free from their wishful thinking, both of them started spouting absurdities. As I was about to retort, a voice came from behind me. Jennifer, what's going on? It's been noisy for a while now. Is something wrong? Upon seeing the person who appeared behind me, Michael and Amanda suddenly went silent and turned pale. Wait, what? Who is this guy? Jason. Sorry for the noise. But you've come at just the right time. These are my ex-husband and his wife that I was talking about. The man who spoke to me was Jason, my current husband. And in his arms was our little son. While staring at Michael and Amanda, Jason hummed thoughtfully and then greeted both of them, who were visibly confused. Good evening. You're Michael and Amanda, right? I'm Jason, Jennifer's husband, and this is our son. So adorable, huh? Michael and Amanda were left gaping. They must have been truly surprised. Indeed, I had remarried. About a year after divorcing from Michael, I met Jason through my friend from work. Things progressed smoothly with Jason, and we got married less than 6 months after we started dating. Then I got pregnant with our son, and now I'm balancing work with household chores and childcare. Jason is also balancing work with household chores and childcare, so I've been able to advance in my career without neglecting my work. I hope you understand now that there's absolutely no room for you two to interfere. We are happily living together as a family of 3. Oh gosh, Jennifer, you were not infertile at all? Just can't believe that. Michael slumped to the ground, holding his head in despair. What? Jennifer getting married to such a handsome man? That's so unfair. Amanda was stomping the ground in frustration. Then Jason looked down at them coldly and said, "Whatever you think, that's how it is, so please leave now. If you ever come near my precious family again, I won't hesitate to call the police, understood?" Perhaps intimidated by Jason's presence and the mention of the police, Michael and Amanda fled with pitiful cries and their faces turned pale. 2 days later, Michael called me again without learning the lesson. I wanted to put an end to it, so I considered just hanging up and blocking his number. However, having been harassed to the point of him showing up at my workplace, I decided to pick up the phone, thinking I might as well hear his excuses one last time. "Do you need anything else? Jason told you not to come near, right? Please don't say that. We're out of money and have nowhere to go. And we can't even rely on our parents' home anymore." Michael explained that after eloping and quitting their jobs, they had been living day-to-day on temporary jobs and part-time work. But after finding out Amanda's pregnancy, Michael had to cover all living expenses by himself, which led to both financial and physical hardship. Amidst all this, they remembered me and thought if I was still living in the house, they could somehow coax me into leaving. But their plan fell through when they failed to anticipate the presence of Jason and our son. Michael and Amanda then attempted to reconcile with Michael's parents, but having been disowned over the elopement incident 10 years ago, they were quickly turned away. It's quite a normal reaction. Come on, please, I'm sorry for what happened 10 years ago, and I'll do anything to make it up. So, you know what, it's too late. Goodbye. Having satisfied myself by listening to his pleas, I hung up and blocked his number and email. That was the last time Michael and Amanda appeared in my life. Later, through a mutual friend, I heard that Michael had shamelessly cheated again. The reason was that Amanda's pregnancy was a complete lie. It seems that the lie Amanda concocted was a desperate attempt to find a pretext to drive me out of my parents' home. Michael appeared to truly believe that Amanda's pregnancy was real, indicating that he, too, was deceived by the lie. Having eloped with Amanda in the hope of having children, he found her unnecessary once he found out she wasn't pregnant. The friend also said that Michael repeated infidelity out of a desire to have children, and eventually had a massive argument with Amanda and broke up with her. Later, I received a letter from Michael filled with confessions that he had been diagnosed with male infertility upon visiting a clinic and that he regretted eloping 10 years ago. Of course, I ignored it, and Jason tore the letter to pieces and threw it into the trash with great vigor. Whether Michael gave up on reconciling because he received no response from me, or he never expected it in the first place, I never received another letter from him again. Having been disrupted by my selfish ex-husband after 10 years but managing to put him in his place, I resolved to forget about it and move on with my life. Since then, I am living peacefully with Jason, who is kind and compassionate, and our adorably precious son.